And welcome to the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. My name is Pep Fernandez. Jeff Gorham, a little tuckered out tonight. Had to get in bed early, so he got the night off. We got Coach John Rice. We got Ghazal Hassan there at the end as well, as we're about to break down Week 8 of the high school football season. Guys, Week 8 did not disappoint. And Ghazal, I know you've got a running theme here with all these important, meaningful games that'll set up the postseason, right?
HPI, heavy playoff implications, Pep. You know it's true. It's Week 8. The 14 pods are now also into league play, so we're all going, all engines going right now, right?
Yes, full send, as the kids would say right now as we get ready for the playoffs. We had some very big games here on Riverside TV, not only tonight, but also last night with Arlington and Rancho Christian. We're going to break down the Rain Cross Conference. We're going to break down the River Valley League. We've got some games from the Big West Conference as well. We're going to check in with Notre Dame, who had their best game of the season tonight on the road in Skyline League action. But guys, we're going to start with, the helmets that we have on the set with us tonight. The Riverside Poly Bears taking on Hillcrest in an important game for both teams. And I said with Jeff earlier this week on his Coach's Perspective show here on Riverside TV that this was essentially a playoff game for Riverside Poly if they were going to kind of turn their season around and make that postseason push. And Hillcrest, I mean, for them, they're still in a good spot, but they're undermanned right now. They've got a lot of injuries to key positions. Before we get to the highlights, Ghazal, what was your take on this matchup going into it?
It was really interesting. You know, we talked about it with Jeff Gorham before the game. I mean, Poly had them right where they wanted them, right? They were 1-6 last year. They got all the way to the Division 11 final. But just imperative, their defense had fallen off a little bit the last couple of weeks, largely because of the teams they were playing. For Hillcrest, remember, they had 2 losses, both to 7-0 teams. So we're going to learn a lot when we watch these highlights tonight. Big crowd today at Wheelock Stadium. Good turnout for both Poly and for Hillcrest. Couple of talented teams, good young coaches in Jerron Gilbert and Travis Carter. So, yeah, again, great night of football. Football night in Riverside. Great rivalry matchup. This is the 4th year in a row the teams have played.
Yeah, we've seen Poly, obviously, throughout the season, and they've played a lot of close games, right? I think they were a lot better than what their record indicated. And Coach Rice, again, before we get to the highlights, for Riverside Poly, maybe this was the night, this was the game to kind of build some confidence and build a little bit of steam in the final couple of weeks here of the regular season at least.
And they have played the best 2 teams so far in the league. They've already played Hemet, played them very well. Hemet beat them at the last minute. Then when they just played tonight, they're 1-2 in league, but they control their own destiny. If they beat Valley View and Arlington, they're going to be 3-2, and they may be able to be as high as 2nd place or 3rd and get that 3rd spot. So the big one's going to be Rancho Christian, who plays Hillcrest. If they win that game, then they're guaranteed to be in. Hemet's already guaranteed a spot. So we still don't have 2 and 3 locked up.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun, right? We knew the Sun Belt League was going to be, I don't know, I call it the black and blue division, right?
HPI, Pep, that's what I'm talking about.
Massive playoff implications here. What do you say, heavy? Is that the H? Heavy playoff implications.
It's a Sopranos thing. I don't want to be heavy with you, Pep, you know.
Well, it was heavy tonight. Guys, let's go to the highlights. It was on Riverside TV, Bears and Trojans.
Here's the block punt. Nana Osei scooping it up and taking it in. Hillcrest touched the ball. I think the first time they touched the ball in the first quarter was with 46 seconds left, but they had the early lead. Here's Victor Aguilar, RPO, the option to the end zone for the touchdown. 6-6, and here comes Zaya Guerrero blocking the PAT. That'll be a recurring theme. Now the ball handed off. Here's Bustamante, Robert Bustamante to Pater, 13-6 Hillcrest. And then here we go. Here's the interception. Elijah Williamson gives Poly an opportunity. I think about 3 minutes to go in the first half. And the Bears are able to matriculate the ball down the field. And watch Aguilar here. Just an absolute dime to the end zone for Matthew Padilla. Poor Josiah Richards gets mossed on that one. They miss the PAT again. It's blocked. And it's a 13-12 game at the half. Second half, though, Aguilar goes to work. Looking all the way down the field. That's another touchdown for Padilla. So all of a sudden it's an 18-13 game. And there's another option for Aguilar. He takes it into the end zone himself. Separates it a little bit at 25-13. Hillcrest trying to make a comeback. Here's the throw, and Michael Gaines Jr. with the pick. What a play he had. Brings it all the way back, I think, the 25-yard line. Little Ed Reed style, 26. Next play, I guess we're not going to say. Here we go. The next play from scrimmage is the handoff to Palomares, and he'll just take it all the way into pay dirt. That's the coup de grace for the Bears. They'll breathe a huge sigh of release. Big win for Poly. They get the first win in league play, 32-13, and turning it around a little bit. The offense came to life. Really impressed with Victor Aguilar, the growth he has had at quarterback for Poly. Went 17-19 last week. Today, I think unofficially, either 19 or 20 of 25, threw for 280 yards, ran for 2, threw for 2, and really maturing, commanding that team in the huddle, being the leader. And they'll get Marjak Gustafson back, I think, next week. So they'll have a double-headed threat at quarterback for Poly. And the defense stepped up again. The defense kind of found its way. They'd given up an average of 43 points and just under 500 yards the last 3 weeks. They stepped up. They did a great job against Hillcrest. Now, to be fair, Hillcrest a little undermanned today, but so was Poly. They were missing Garrett Etch, their talented defensive end. Amari James came out, played very well for the Bears, who did a great job on both sides of the football. They'll deserve the win.
Yeah, when I walked into the studio after the games I was covering tonight, Gaines just had that huge interception. I saw the score, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if they capitalize on the ensuing drive, this thing's done. Like, Poly's going to go on to this victory and really throw a wrench into the Sun Belt League standings. And again, top 3 automatic, go to the playoffs. I think the 4th place team will probably get in as well because that's a very strong league, and the record will be good enough for that 4th place team as well. But why leave it a chance, right? You want to be in the top 3, know you're going to punch your ticket. And now, in the final weeks of the season, week 9, week number 10, in the Sun Belt League, there's going to be a lot up for grabs. We still have to have Hemet versus Rancho Christian going head-to-head, right? And then, for Hillcrest, for Poly, I'm going to throw Valley View in there as well. I mean, they've got these games where they feel like playoffs now for these teams.
Here's my prediction: is that we won't know the playoff picture in the Sun Belt till week 10. So, HPI, call it the Fun Belt. It's going to be a lot of fun the next 2 weeks. The Sun Belt, the newly formed Sun Belt, it was 4 teams last year. Now it's 6 teams, and it's going to go right down to November 1st. Looking forward to it.
All right, so we just saw a big win for Riverside Poly. On Thursday night, live on Riverside TV, it was Rancho Christian against Arlington. The Lions gave the Eagles all they could handle, but all season long, we've been hearing Rancho Christian, they're going to have guys become eligible. They're going to be tough to beat. You're sleeping on Rancho Christian. I saw your DMs on social media. I heard you. I know they are good, and they're even going to get better. Coach Rice, you called the game with Jeff last night. And before we get to the Rancho Christian highlights, did they live up to the billing? Are they that good?
They're very impressive on offense. They threw without the returner who came back from a year sit-out mandatory was Cam Jones. Without him, they threw for 400 yards against Poly and spread the ball around. Cam Jones was a former Bosco player who hurt his shoulder, had a mandatory sit-out, came back and caught 11 passes and 3 touchdowns in the first half. So with him, they even have more weapons to go to. They're more versatile, and then they have the running back, Mr. Ford, and Mr. Ford has 1,300 yards in all-purpose yards, 1,300, and he's rushed for over 1,000. So on offense, they're certainly explosive, and we saw that in the first half. It was a game that didn't disappoint.
Yeah, so Rancho Christian built a huge lead. Arlington chipped away at it in the second half to make it very interesting on Riverside TV all the way down to the final drive. So let's go to the highlights. Eagles and Lions, Thursday night special. Man, this one was good. Rancho Christian with a star quarterback in Emiliano Villarreal. And but first, we're going to start with the highlights here. Interception by Rancho Christian. And that's going to set up this Villarreal to, well, that's your guy, Cam Jones.
Cam Jones, after a year sit out, he had 11 catches in the first half. This is after they ran 2 sneaks in a row. Quarterback Villarreal scores. He usually is throwing the ball. He spread the ball around. Here's another little short route, and watch him escape 3 and throw aside 3 tacklers down near the goal line and score. So that was his second touchdown back. And then we have Villarreal. Villarreal.
19-3, and then Villarreal going to Yankee Gutierrez,
Thank you.
right?
Freshman. So he scores, and then they go to an empty formation, which was one of their staples. And then we see the ball thrown, and it's intercepted at a key time by Regalado, which gave them an opportunity. They came back and scored 4 times in the second half. They were down 26-3. There's Gutierrez, who plays linebacker, never comes off the field. Very tough kid. And then they got the ball back, and then they get a final score.
Yeah, so Daniel
Yeah,
Gonzalez,
sorry.
the quarterback for Arlington, led them on 3 scoring drives in the second half. That's Jeff's favorite
Yeah.
player, luscious Lincoln Liggins. And man,
Yep.
Lincoln Liggins and Cameron Jones, 2 of the top receivers in the area, wouldn't you say?
And he scored. Yes, they were. We got them on display. And they threw that ball on 3rd down when they had to have it. Then he got another ball, a jump ball. They had 2 defensive backs on him all night.
Double
Came
team
back,
doesn't matter.
and it didn't matter. He went up for the ball. So Liggins was highlighted. Cam Jones was highlighted. And then at the end of the game, we had a ball thrown right over the middle for the last touchdown to seal it. And that was Nasir, and he plays middle linebacker as well. So a lot of players playing both ways on both sides. An exciting game. Rancho Christian goes to 3-0 in league. They are probably going to play Hemet if they can get by their next game. And maybe week 10, as Ghazal said, you'll be seeing the playoff picture work itself out. Exciting game. Both sides played well. You had reaction to adversity. You had a 3-touchdown lead overcome in the second half. Just exciting football. A lot of fighting back and facing adversity and never giving up.
Yeah, down 26-3 at halftime and battle all the way back within 2, and just hoping your defense could get one more stop to get the football back.
And they did. They got a couple of stops. It was 33-31, and then they had an opportunity, and Rancho Christian was able to kind of get the first down and then ultimately the touchdown. But I think Arlington, they kind of picked them as my surprise team. They're 0-3 in league, but they haven't played poorly. They were tough, hung tough with Ramona that we saw, and they hung tough with Rancho Christian.
And Arlington really controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides. They were able to run the ball. Ford is a great running back, but they really controlled the interior of the line and Ford came up with some big runs in the fourth quarter for Rancho Christian. So it was a great ball game with a lot of offensive talent displayed.
A lot of fun. I'm glad it shaped up to be one that came down to the final drive, final possession here on Riverside TV on Thursday night. We had really great games on Riverside TV this season, especially the last couple of weeks. All right, guys, so let's stay in the Rain Cross Conference. We just broke down because I'm going to have to steal it, the Fun Belt. I love that. The Fun Belt League, because it is fun, man.
Yeah.
Some great games, some great teams. Now let's go to the Ivy League. And right now, listen, it's a collision course between the Zomalt brothers. Rancho Verde and Orange Vista, they're going to meet in the final week of the regular season. It looks like the league title, that'll be a true league title game. It looks like it if they can handle their business next week. But Orange Vista taking on Vista Del Lago. VDL took on Rancho Verde last week. It was a shootout. I think it was like 58-40. Rancho Verde won that game. So now the Ravens getting their crack at the defending Ivy League champion, Orange Vista. Let's go to those highlights. Orange Vista and the Ravens. And man, Orange Vista's got a big-time QB. Khalil Abdul Aziz finds this guy Deontay West there on the touchdown to open up the scoring there for the Coyotes. They can do it through the air. They can do it on the ground. This time it's going to be Abdul Aziz handing it off to Preston Yen, fighting his way through traffic, gets over the goal line for another Orange Vista touchdown. They can score in bunches at Orange Vista High School. A lot of different weapons for Abdul Aziz to find. Speaking of, this time he's going to go to Donovan Morton for the score there for the Coyotes. Vista Del Lago, kind of similar to the game that we just saw with Rancho Christian Arlington. Orange Vista would go up. Vista Del Lago would battle back. Jeremiah Dupree Boyd, just a freshman, but a big-time quarterback prospect, goes in for the touchdown there. And then Boyd, the touchdown pass for the Ravens. And then how about another Vista Del Lago touchdown coming up? So all of a sudden, it's 23-21. That Orange Vista lead is only 2 after the Ravens battle all the way back to almost tie this game up. But Orange Vista would keep their foot on the gas. Here comes another OV touchdown. 43-21, your final score. So Vista Del Lago came back, but 3 unanswered touchdowns by the Coyotes to close out the game, and there's your score, 43-21. So Vista Del Lago is 6-2. Their only losses the last 2 weeks against 2 of the best teams in the IE.
And I don't mean to correct you, Pep, but you need to say the quarterback's name right. It's Abdul, the real deal.
Yeah.
Khalil, the real deal, Abdulaziz. No, what a great performance. And again, that's another fun league. The Ivy League is no joke. There's 6 tough teams in that. There's not an easy game in it. It's a gauntlet in that league. And obviously, Orange Vista and Rancho Verde kind of looking like they're on a collision course. But again, we'll have a lot of fun between now and week 10.
Yes.
And Liberty is another tough team that's in that league. You got Orange Vista, Vista Del Lago, Paloma Valley is in there. So you're going to get 4 teams, I would say, from that league. And those teams will be set up.
5, depending on the way the power rankings work.
And they'll get set up and great, and they'll play against anybody in Orange County. And so they should make some deep runs. And hopefully we can cover some games here for Riverside TV, and they'll host some games if we can get any of them in here.
Oh, the perfect segue, Coach. You mentioned Liberty, the Bison. They were taking on JW North, and for Liberty, they got to collect some wins right now to get into the postseason. We felt like at the beginning of the year they're going to be one of the better teams in the area. They've kind of stumbled through the regular season, but they've got some great coaches down there at Liberty and some great talent as well. They're trying to put it together here at the end of the season. Let's go to the highlights. Bison taking on 3rd and Chicago at 3rd in Chicago, and here come the Huskies. We'll start with JW North. It's going to be quarterback Anthony Zavala. How about going 40 yards for the touchdown? North strikes first 7-zip against the Bison, but here comes Liberty. Devin McNeil Dillard tosses to Trent Hallis. Goes in for the score, makes it a 7-6 game. Still the first quarter, it's going to be Renzo Hernandez for a wide open 2-point conversion there. Makes it 8-7 Liberty. Then it's going to be Paris Peacock battling for a touchdown here. That Liberty lead grows to 15-7. Later, now in the second quarter, it's Jalen Skelton going in for the touchdown there for the Bison. And here comes Peacock again for Liberty. He's going to go in for the score, and that's going to push that Liberty lead to 28-7. So North scored first, but a lot of Liberty after that. Here comes Peacock. 75 yards on the touchdown run, his 3rd score of the game in this one. Now it's 35-7 Bison. But JW North, they're going to not go down without a fight. Zavala kind of dumps it off. And what a great catch there by number 17, not on the roster, but a great play nonetheless. He got in there 35-14 after that touchdown. But more from Liberty and the ground game. Skelton, 65 yards. Said in the highlights, he ran through a ref.
Sure
I didn't
did.
see that, did he?
Sure did.
He did.
Just plowed over him.
42-14 at that point after the Liberty score. Now we've got a Liberty. Brendan Aikens intercepting the pass here for the Bison. And they would capitalize after the interception. It's going to be Brian Woyson for the final score on this one. 49-14, your Liberty Bison. Big win on the road at 3rd and Chicago. But for North, they're putting up a fight. You know what I mean? They scored first. They didn't go down without swinging back and trying to take a punch and land one on mighty Liberty. But 49-14, your final score in Ivy League play. So Liberty in a prime spot to make the playoffs. JW North is going to need a lot of help now.
You're right. I can't. There's nothing else to say. But what will happen is when you have the Zomalt brothers playing each other, that is going to determine 1 and 2, and they'll both get in the playoffs. Liberty will get in. Vista Del Lago will be in, and we'll see if they get somebody else in. But the placement will be key to them, and they'll make some deep runs in the playoffs.
It's just tough, It's just that's just a tough league, Pep. You've talked about it. We look at the standings every week. We look at the highlights. Everybody thought Liberty might be a little bit higher, but the consistency of the Zomalt brothers, wherever they go, and right now it's Rancho Verde and Orange Vista. Looking forward to that one. That should be exciting.
That is going to be a really, really good one. Not only for first place, league title, brother versus brother. It's all good. We saw it last year too, so it was a lot of fun for the because I love it. Week 10, we truly have an outright league championship game. 2 teams going head to head, league title on the line. We don't see a whole lot of those, so it sure looks like that's going to happen in the Ivy League. All right. From the Raincross Conference now to the Big West Conference, we're going to start with Temecula Valley versus King. And man, it kind of looked like King versus Murrieta Mesa next week was going to be the game.
Riverside
right?
TV game.
It is, so it is a Riverside TV game. I was about to ask you that. So that looked like it was going to be the game, but man, if we've learned anything, you can't look too far into the future because there's some really good teams in the Big West. Temecula Valley taking on King, and the Golden Bears basically fighting for their playoff lives, and they took a big step in that direction to try to get to the postseason. So let's go to the highlights. Golden Bears and the King Wolves, and here come the Wolves. We're going to start off the action with, there's not enough field goals on the show. Lucas Akutagawa buries it from 30 yards out. King goes up 3-zip. But guess what? Here's another field goal. Temecula Valley's James Holt, also from 30. It's all good. 3-3 after that. Second quarter, still 3-3 game. It's going to be Derek Kahn. Great grab as he holds on to it. Wow. And we're going to slow it down. Check out Kahn going over, juggles it, and grabs it with one hand.
Good concentration by Kahn.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Derek Kahn, great catch from his QB, Noah Cuenca. And then that's going to set up this. It's going to be Cuenca to Brian Robinson. Robinson has entered the chat, as I like to say. 10-3, King on top, second quarter. Same score. Now in the third quarter, here comes Temecula Valley. Cameron Simmons ties the game at 10 apiece. Still in the third quarter, the Golden Bears do it again. It's going to be Ramsey Rivera to Jake Sella, the lefty. Gets in there and finds Sella for the score, 17-10. Golden Bears on top. And then it's going to be King with the ball. Fumble on the play. Temecula Valley has it. And they would make them pay as they go in for the score. Crew Allen makes it 24-10. Temecula Valley. King down, but not out. Fourth quarter, Cuenca to Riker Galvin for the score. That makes it 24-17. Wolves get the ball again. Later fourth quarter, Cuenca to Kahn. Great stiff arm there to get into the end zone. That makes it 24-23. All they need is the extra point to tie it up. They did not get it, guys. Temecula Valley wins 24-23. And Ghazal, you've got some intel on what happened, right?
So I was wondering, we were talking, Coach Rice and Pep and I were talking, and I was wondering, Jason McMahon's, he's the kind of guy who would go for the win. My understanding, I texted with an eyewitness who was at the game, extra point was blocked. So hopefully, if somebody's got some video to confirm that, but eyewitness at the game who's reliable, I deem reliable, told me the PAT blocked, and that was the win for Temecula. We saw 2 PATs blocked at RCC today at Wheelock Stadium, the game winner. There's something going on in Riverside, Pat.
Every year, this comes up when you get close to playoff time. Special teams are important, and they can win games and lose games, and coaches understand that they are very important, especially when you get into the playoffs, especially when you go overtime games. Those can come back to haunt you.
Man, just 1 point. For King being down 24-10, you battle all the way back. Oh, painful. But the good news is if King can come back and, just for the sake of our conversation, beat Murrieta Mesa, then all of a sudden, a 3-way tie for first place in the Big West Lower, or maybe at least a co-championship, the very least. So,
and we don't know what's going to happen with the ratings for that, where they're going to be for playoff consideration if that does end up happening.
Yeah, so still a lot on the line for King, who certainly looks like a playoff team. But that's a huge win for Temecula Valley to strengthen their case. All right, now let's keep it. Actually, we're going to keep it in the Big West. We're going to go from the Big West Lower to the Big West Upper. Roosevelt taking on Vista Murrieta. And I know Centennial played Murrieta Valley tonight. The Huskies did win. Spoiler alert, not a huge shock there that Centennial won. But after Centennial at 1, it's a real logjam. Who's going to finish in the top 3 or 4, maybe even 5 to get into the playoffs? So Vista Murrieta versus Roosevelt, Norco versus Chaparral. Those all kind of feel like playoff games as we go through the final weeks of the season. So let's go to the highlights. Roosevelt taking on Vista Murrieta, and Roosevelt battled the Broncos for a while. Let's go to the highlights. Bryson Beaver to Brock Norman to open up the scoring for Vista Murrieta, diving inside the pylon. That was a touchdown. The ball got loose, but he was already in the ground, forcing that ball loose. 7-zip, Vista Murrieta. Second quarter now, same score. Rylan Duson goes in for the Vista Murrieta score, making it 14-0 Broncos. But the Mustangs would battle back a little bit later in this one. The quarterback for the Mustangs, Blake Nadler, who I believe was at Rancho Christian, now at Roosevelt, going in for the score there for Roosevelt. It was a 1-touchdown game at one point. but too much Vista Marietta. Fourth quarter, Doosan, touchdown run for the Broncos in the Wildcat. And Vista Marietta goes on to beat the Mustangs 47-7. So it's still very difficult to try and predict the order of the Big West Upper. But it looks like Centennial 1, probably Marietta Valley 2, and then Chaparral beat Norco tonight, so maybe Chap at 3. Norco versus Vista Marietta 4-5. I don't know if we're trying to gauge with 2 more weeks to go in the regular season.
Two things come to mind for me. If you're talking about special teams, this is just general information that coaches knows. Coley Kendall is generally considered one of the outstanding coaches in not only California but the Western United States as far as the emphasis he puts on special teams. He is very good. Second of all, this is another league who, when they historically get into the playoffs in their place, make deep runs.
Yep.
Deep runs. So they're not done. Wherever they finish and they rate them out, they'll be put in places where they will have some success in the playoffs.
I think, wasn't there a weird scenario last year, Coach? You might remember at Gazal, where like the 4th place team did not make it in the playoffs,
Roosevelt.
but the 5th place team did.
Yes.
Because of their division.
And it could happen again. It's just where the divisions break down. I will have my projection out, I think on Monday, because I'm working Saturday and Sunday this week. But yeah, that was the weird thing, is because it's where the divisions break out. If you're rated, if there's 18 teams for Division 2 and you break out as the 17th and 18th teams, even though you're ahead in the league in your rating, you may not make that. And Norco is kind of really on the bubble already. So we'll see what Norco does in the last couple of weeks. Will they fall, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4? Will they be able to fall in an area where they'll be included in the seedings?
That happened to Billy Cardosi at Kaiser last year. He could not make the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's happened to very good coaches and very good teams.
Yeah.
It's strange. That's why it's like, just take care of your business. Finish in the top 3. You don't have to worry about it. Right?
The auto bid, it's a big deal. That's why it's a big deal.
All right, guys, let's wrap up this segment, at least the highlights here, with some 8-man football. We got to check in with California School for the Deaf Riverside. The Cubs doing what the Cubs do.
Win Cubs.
Yes, win Cubs.
Go Cubs.
And that's all they do. Let's take you out to CSDR. The Cubs, man, they like to score points, and they got that great offense with Caden Adams. There's head coach Keith Adams calling the plays, and of course Caden Adams running that offense. Already up 6-0 for the Cubs, and Adams finds Gio Visco for the touchdown. 12-0 CSDR on top. I kind of compare it to arena football. I used to cover arena football back in the day with that little smaller field, man. You can score from anywhere on the field, and for CSDR that really, is true because they can get it done. Adams to Isaiah Baxter Davis there on the completion. And check out this catch. Adams to Darius Zaremka.
Wow. 8-man
football, 11-man football. That's just a flat-out great football play to go up and get it and get into the end zone there by Zaremka. 18-0 CSDR. Look at his big smile. I think he was looking around like, you guys all see that? That was amazing. So 18-0 CSDR at that point. And then more from the Cubs. 2-point conversion, actually. Adams to Baxter Davis. The 2 is good to push that CSDR lead back up to 20-0. Calvary Chapel with the football, but a big hit coming up by Baxter Davis flying around. Big hit there on the defense side of the football. How about a little more defense? I know CSDR, great on offense. We show all the touchdowns, but Antonio Becerra, the big tackle for the loss for the Cubs there. Back to the offense, though, because we love the touchdowns. Great scoring drive here for the Cubs. Adams to Baxter Davis. Big pickup here to kind of shake around and get a couple extra yards on the end of that. Then it's going to be Adams to Visco. And check out some moves by the receivers by the Cubs. They would cap off this drive with another touchdown. We just showed you a couple scores, and they scored a lot this one. 71 to be exact. They dropped 71 on Calvary Chapel. 71-40, guys, your final score as CSDR does it again. They are a perfect 7-0 now on the season.
Is a three-peat potential here?
Yeah.
Because I know they've made 3 finals in a row. They've won twice. So I think this would be the 3rd in a row.
If they went to the finals, it would be 4 finals in a row and 3 championships.
If you've never been out to one of the Cubs games, you need to get out to one. First of all, it's a great atmosphere. There are families everywhere. There's people lining the sidelines. It's a great brand of football. Visco and Adams could play for anybody that I've covered this year. They are outstanding athletes that play great football. I just want to know, did they crack the top boost, the top 20 in boost?
Well,
do our own ratings for that.
We do the top one.
Okay.
And in this week, in all the suspense, the top one in our 8-man football poll is CSDR for the 200th week in a row. So
You did the Big West upper, Big West lower. Can I give you a Big West upper note before we get out
Let's
here?
do it.
Jake Retzlaff today. BYU is now 7-0. Threw for 218 yards, ran for a touchdown, threw for 2. They beat Oklahoma State. So I think BYU 14th or 13th ranked. They're still undefeated, 7-0. We may see Jake Retzlaff, Centennial High, RCC, potentially playing in that. I'd love to see him in that NCAA playoff. I know it's not prep, but I wanted to mention Jake Retzlaff.
It's worth mentioning, because former Centennial star, and of course what he did at RCC, and this is the first year we've had this 12-team playoff for college football, right? So it's fun, that's exciting, and if BYU can get in there led by our guy Retzlaff, that'd be pretty awesome.
How great would that be?
Yeah. All right, guys, let's hit the scoreboard for the first time tonight. We're going to get you caught up on a lot of scores, including Rain Cross Conference. I think we got CBL and some Big West in there as well. Orange Vista now 3-0, the reigning champions in the Ivy League. They win 43-21 against Vista Del Lago. Liberty and JW North, we saw that game a little bit earlier as the Bison pick up a big win at 3rd in Chicago. The Rancho Verde and Paloma Valley, texted with head coach Eric Zomal. He's telling me about the Mustangs' big win, 34-12 there. That was the Ivy League. Now to the Sun Belt League, or the Fun Belt League, according to Gazal.
Fun Belt.
32-13, you're not wrong. Big Riverside Poly win on Riverside TV tonight. We had Rancho Christian and Arlington last night as Rancho Christian held off the Lions in this one. 40-31, your final score. Valley View and Hemet, the Bulldogs are still undefeated. 39-28. Hemet now 8-0 on the season. Hemet versus Rancho Christian. Exciting coming up. In the Inland Valley League, Citrus Hill and Canyon Springs, 50-8, the final in that one. Canyon Springs 7-1. They're 3-0, and I heard tonight that they shut off power in the Canyon Springs community, the area, so they had to move their homecoming game to Moreno Valley High School on the fly tonight. This afternoon when
Made it happen, and they got the win.
Yes. All right. Heritage beat Lakeside 56-14. And I know we skipped Moreno Valley. We're going to save that for a little bit later in the show because we got the dramatic finish between Moval and Paris. All right. Now let's go to the Big West. Centennial and Murrieta Valley. Looks like the Nighthawks put up a fight, 28-9. The Huskies stay undefeated in league play. This is the Big West upper. But a big win for Centennial, 28-9. Any thoughts?
I'm trying to think of the last time when they didn't play a Trinity League team or like a ranked team out of state where they were held to 28 points. It's been a while, right?
Maybe Mission Viejo a couple years ago, but that might, it is. It's rare. It's very rare.
And even last year, Bear Bachmeyer played, and we went to that game. I went with Coach Powell, as a matter of fact, and we had an off night, and we went to watch that game, and that was a heck of a game, and they had a full complement of players. So 28-9, Centennial will be getting ready for the playoffs here, and I'm sure they'll end up having to play one of the Trinity League teams, and they've been to how many semifinals in a row?
Yeah.
I mean, incredible run.
Great run, but low scoring. Kind of surprised by
for
that
them.
score. 28-9.
Derek Johnson running the defense at Murrieta Valley. He's no joke. Does a great job.
He was probably up all night, all week long, right? Getting ready for the Huskies. Let's see. Norco and Chaparral. Good game. I mean, again, one of those teams that's a lot better than what their record indicates. Norco falls under that. 48-37. The Pumas get the big win, as we were a couple minutes ago trying to predict what that order might look like in the Big West upper. And finally, Roosevelt and Vista Murrieta, the game that you just saw. Broncos roll in the second half, 47-7 against the Mustangs. The Big West lower, Great Oak and Santiago. Great Oak, 42-21. So Great Oak now rooting for King next week against Murrieta Mesa, right? To really throw a wrench in the Big West lower. Temecula Valley and King, we saw some of the highlights earlier. King coming all the way back, but falling by 1 to the Golden Bears. And what was the other one? Oh, Corona and Murrieta Mesa. You just saw the game was 70-0. Murrieta Mesa with a big win. To the CBL, Cajon over Redlands 49-10. Citrus Valley and Beaumont. Maybe the last obstacle between Beaumont and a CBL championship. No problem tonight for the Cougars. 35-3 against the Blackhawks. And finally, Ukaipa and Rev in a shootout. Ukaipa 67 against Rev 45. Now that sounds like a Centennial versus like Bosco game where they just, well, coach, you got Bosco ties.
Two years in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row. It was incredible games.
Where they just like score. There's no defense. They just score back.
Incredible.
All right, guys, we're going to take our first break of the night, and when we come back, we've got a couple more games to show you and scores. We're going to hit the River Valley League real hard. Notre Dame with their best effort of the season as well. We got a couple highlights from that one and more scores to get to as well. We'll be right back here on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. We'll be right back.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department wants you to know how holidays affect your trash service. Trash pickup will not be available during major holidays and collection times will be adjusted in response. Residents with city trash service will see the following adjustments. For Monday holidays, your Monday collection will happen on Tuesday and Tuesday collections will occur on Wednesdays. For Thursday holidays, Thursday service will occur on Friday and Friday service on Saturday. For Friday holidays, your Friday service will occur on Saturday. Residents served by outside vendors will experience a one-day delay of service for each day after any holiday taking place Monday through Friday. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
And welcome back to the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. We still got the head coach, John Rice, up here. It's always Coach Rice to me. Once you're a coach, you're always a coach, right?
My wife calls me coach, yes. So once it's coach, it's entirely
I know it says
respected.
analyst down there, and that's your new role.
Whatever, I just want to stay involved with football. I love it. You can call me anything you want. As long as I get to be here and be with you guys and do Riverside TV football, I'm blessed.
All right, Coach, let's talk River Valley League. Now, last week, obviously, it was a huge game, a convincing win for the Ramona Rams against Norte Vista. But now Ramona needs to, stay in the driver's seat, control their own destiny, win out. They could go 10-0, River Valley League champions, all that kind of good stuff. But again, as a coach or former coach, is it hard to keep your guys motivated and focused when you feel like you've won the big game and you still have, 2 or 3 more games to go in the regular season?
You have the bounce-back games, but I think Coach Wyszynski's done a great job. His staff's done a great job. They have a lot to play for.
Yeah.
They've got an undefeated season to play for. They're going to have a tougher draw in the playoffs probably than they had last year.
Yeah.
So they play one game at a time, and I know he does a great job with that. But then they're going to get placed, and I know his goal is going to be a state championship. They're going to be CIF, regional, and state championship goals. And I don't think
last year, right?
Exactly. And so once you taste that and you've been in that role, his players know what to expect. They've done a great job. They replaced a lot of players. So I don't think I'll have too much trouble motivating them. They have a great culture, and I think they're going to make a deep, deep run in the playoffs.
I know Gazal is still back there. Gazal, I know you're listening as well. You have not unveiled your predictions, but if you could hold up with your fingers, what division do you think Ramona is going to be in? Because last year they were Division 11 champions. Gazal is saying 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that when they had Bo Bruins and Nate Johnson and they had that incredible team, they were Division 6. And I know they got decimated by injuries in the playoffs, so we didn't really get to see what that team was actually capable of. I remember the Division 6 that year, but Division 11 last year, and they just absolutely rolled in that.
When the ratings come out, Gazal does a great job. If you don't seek his opinion and his, in Spanish say divinando, he does a great job of prognosticating. And what happens is since they went to dividing the schools up after the season, instead of putting you in playoffs before, it gave people a lot of motivation to finish strong, and then they would determine playoffs. So I think they're going to be really, really excited to finish the year, and you want to see wherever they end up, they're going to be up for the challenge. They've earned it wherever they put them. I know they're not going to make excuses, and they're going to make a deep run. The competition will be tougher, but iron sharpens iron. They're ready for the challenge.
Coach, I'm trying to remember, what was the last year, before we get to the highlights, we're going to get to it real quick. This will go fast once we get to the video. But what was the last year when, like, the entire league would be all in the same division? So do you remember, like...
Eastern, it was when we had Eastern.
Yeah, like,
the
so like
Eastern.
Centennial would make all the teams in the Big Eight go to the old inland
Yep.
division.
Yep.
So, gosh, that was probably...
Well, we went
Maybe like 10 years
when
ago?
I was in 2013, when I was at North, we went and we had to play the eventual state champion Redlands East Valley with Coach Bruick, and we had to go play them, and everybody was regionally based, which has its advantages
Yeah.
for traveling, but then you're playing people that, you know, you don't have the runs that you have now when people are this competitive equity.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been 11 years.
Yeah, I remember I used to love the inland, the central, and I think the eastern were like the
Yeah.
big three divisions
Yeah.
that we kept an eye on. And at one point, I think Vista Marietta went to like the West Valley division
Yep.
or the Southwestern
Yep.
League school. So,
Yep.
But here we are. We're in a brand new world with this new playoff
And
format.
competitive equity.
Yes. All right, speaking of the Ramona Rams, we were talking about them to set this up. Ramona taking on Super Duper Harupa Valley to keep that perfect season intact. Let's go to the video, and our guy Supernova did it again. Great highlights as the Rams were on the road against the Jaguars in a Thursday night special. And man, quarterback Cody Shiner has really emerged as one of the top QBs in the area. Finds Dylan Tolbert there for the touchdown. 7-zip Rams early on. And then it's going to be Shiner, man. Listen, he can throw with the best of them. Also a great athlete. This guy can flat out run as well. 18 yards on the scoring scamper for Cody Shiner, pushing that Ramona lead to 14-0. More from the Rams, this time going back to the air, finding Isaac Mata. And how about this one? Down the sideline and in for the touchdown there for the Ramona Rams. I think, was that Shiner? Maybe, let's see. This one is going to be, I think, Mata. Or, actually,
that's hard to tell.
Is that Shiner again? 37 yards. I think it just looks similar because, I mean, take that, rewind it back. And maybe, is this the same play? It looks like almost the same exact play as Shiner. This time he's going to hit Mata at the back of the end zone there for the score. Ramona led 35-0 at halftime. And that would be it. 35-zip would be your final score. So they built that big lead at the break, and it looks like Coach Mush and the Rams coasted to that win on Thursday night.
You know, there's value in the games like that. You always want to get kids in. You want to get them in a competitive situation. You have high expectations, and so that when they're thrown in the fire later in the year, they're not playing for the first time. So there are some advantages to getting up and playing some kids that normally wouldn't get in a tough game.
All right. Back to the River Valley League, and Norda Vista, again, trying to shake off that tough loss, right, against Ramona and regroup, refocus. They were taking on Rubidoux, and I think if you ask Coach Batdorf, he probably wasn't very happy with that first half.
He texted me and said it was a bad first half, but they were able to rebound and get going, but they can't afford to do that once they get in the playoffs, and I'm sure that he'll have his team ready to play when they get to the playoffs.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take you out to Rubidoux as Norda Vista were taking on the Falcons in this one. And like I said, kind of a slow start for the Braves against Rubidoux, but credit to the Falcons, man. They always play hard. They are well coached. Early on in this game, Isaac Costello, big run for Norda Vista. They're doing it on the ground, and like they like to do. That would set up this. Dreddy Lane in for the Norda Vista touchdown. So things look pretty normal, right, for Novi early on as they grab the early 7-zip lead. But there was a full moon last night. Weird things happen out there with the full moon out as Rubidoux would answer. Jesus Vasquez, big run as the Falcons were on the move. And it's going to be quarterback Josh Green, just a sophomore, to Elijah Cruz for the touchdown. 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter now. Novi going to Jaden Henderson. He gets the call, and a big run by Jaden here, who has emerged as maybe the top offensive threat here for Novi this season because he can catch and he can run. And then there's Henderson again. Seth Bolander to Henderson for the big pickup. And Bolander like that. He's going to go right back to Henderson. He's got time. There's Henderson along the sidelines, makes one guy miss, probably got an extra 5-7 yards with the yards after the catch. And then Henderson did the work, let him get paid. Goes in for the touchdown. Norte Vista goes up 14-7 in the second quarter. But you can never count out the Rubidoux Falcons. Fourth down, and Rubidoux decides to go for it. Green to Darian Salas, and they got it. The drive lives for the Rubidoux Falcons. 22 seconds left in the first half. Green to Elijah Cruz again. Elijah Cruz has been on this show actually quite a bit. He's a pretty good player out there for Rubidoux. They did not get the extra point, but it was a 14-13 game at halftime. And Coach Norte Vista figured things out, maybe some inspirational speech by Coach Batdorf at halftime. Whatever the case might be, Norte Vista won 42-16.
And I think one of his goals this week, we had a chance to talk over the weekend, was that he wanted to get back to what Norte Vista does. The standard is the standard. He wanted to get back to controlling the ball, playing tough, physical, penalty-free football. But they also wanted to throw a little bit more so that when they got into the playoffs, that they were able to be able to throw the ball and not be one-dimensional. So you saw them throwing the ball in the first half, didn't have the results they wanted, but when it comes down to it, they want to be able to run the ball when people know they're running the ball, and there's nothing more demoralizing as a coach when Norte Vista comes in and you know where they're going to run and they're going to.
The whole stadium knows what they're doing,
and
right?
You're still able to do that, and there's something very effective about that culture he's built. So let's hope they're back on track and they've got the kinks worked out and their culture is back taking charge of what they're doing instead of individual players. And I think they're going to do a great job the rest of the year.
All right, we're going to keep it in the River Valley League. La Sierra taking on Patriot. And, Coach, I feel like Patriot might be one of those teams, depending on their division, could make a deep run. Like if they get placed maybe like what Ramona did last year, 11 or maybe 12, I don't know, maybe 10, somewhere in there. But Patriot's got a pretty good team, and they were flexing their muscles against La Sierra. Let's go to those highlights. Eagles and Warriors in this one. And, man, a great running back for Patriot, Josiah Felix. And when we talked to Coach Batdorf a couple weeks ago, when we said, hey, you're playing Patriot, what's the keys to the victory? He said, stop Felix. He goes in for a score there, 6-0, and this time it's going to be big-time run. Nathan Villanueva brought it down inside the 5-yard line, but 55 yards on that run, and they would capitalize with a score. Then it's going to be La Sierra with the football. Interception, Aiden Miller for the Warriors. That would set up this. It's going to be Grant Jones, the touchdown for Patriot. They led 21-0. La Sierra feeling the pressure, but Eric Mays still making the catch there for the Eagles. Now it's going to be La Sierra punting on the other end for Patriot. Omar Galiza. Galiza wears number 18 across the 50, the 40, into Eagles territory. And right around the red zone, that's going to set up Patriot in very good field position. And they would capitalize with another score on the ensuing drive, made it 28-0. La Sierra back the other way after that Patriot touchdown. And a nice return here by the Eagles, but they would not come away with any points on the ensuing drive. Patriot gets the football back, and here comes Felix. Another big touch, or actually not a touchdown run. They got him. They pulled him down there. Big run by Felix, and but it would lead to a Patriot touchdown. So it's 28-0 at that point. And then it's going to be Galiza. 95 yards on this touchdown run. And that would make it Warriors 37, La Sierra 0. Galiza taking it all the way back on the house call. La Sierra would finally get on the scoreboard. Eric Mays, the catch, and get in there for the touchdown. But too little too late as Patriot rolls to a big win against La Sierra, 48-8, the final score in this one. So Patriot doing it all, special teams, through the air, on the ground.
And in special teams, and that fits with our theme of the night, as special teams. We saw a lot of clips there, kickoff returns. And special teams are important, and you saw right there they were good at special teams. Patriot, led by the most interesting man
in
Riverside.
Patrick Thompson Jr. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to Notre Dame versus Arroyo Valley in the Skyline League. The Titans with their best effort of the season trying to upset Arroyo Valley. Let's go to those highlights. The Titans led by a score of 14-8, but Arroyo Valley would have a big second quarter. to not only cut into that lead, but take the lead. This is going to be Ray Rodriguez on the touchdown run to give Arroyo Valley the 15-14 lead in the first quarter. Then later in the second quarter, it's going to be Josiah Ryan to Israel Bayos on the touchdown catch. So that lead now 29-14 for Arroyo Valley, but Notre Dame would battle back in the second quarter. It's going to be quarterback Braden Mitchell on fourth down. Why not? Going for it. And he's going to find Nick Irving for the touchdown there. That made it 29-21 at that point at the half. But Arroyo Valley would pull away in the second half. 29-20. 44-20 would be the final score, but still a 3-touchdown effort for the Titans, their best game of the season as they still try to get their first win here in 2024. All right, and finally, Coach, we're going to be passing out trophies in a couple of weeks for the league titles. That one's mine. Don't you guys get any ideas?
I wanted to make sure that was front and center and that we were able to see that.
Won that fair
I
and
think
square.
you deserve, we got to get a bigger one. It's not commensurate with your capabilities nor your efforts. We got to get you a bigger one.
Well, I'll tell you this. We've been talking about Orange Vista, maybe in Rancho Verde, playing for that league championship in the Ivy League in week number 10. In the Inland Valley League, Canyon Springs and Moreno Valley sure look like they're on a collision course to meet for a league championship. Canyon Springs, big win tonight against Citrus Hill. We saw that score earlier. Moreno Valley taking on Paris. Let's just look at the video and see the finish of this one. The Vikings were down by 2 to Paris. Game-winning field goal loading, and it is good for Moval. The Vikings win by 1. Let's take one more look and slow it down.
Love it.
Coach, Moval having a great Renaissance bounce-back season. Coach Ben Benitez, I was texting with him a little bit earlier, man. He is so proud of this team. They are 6-2 overall. 3-0 in the Inland Valley League. Canyon Springs also 3-0. And there's that friendly rivalry in the city of Moval as well. But that was a huge win for Moreno Valley.
And special teams again.
Oh, my gosh.
Another just fits right in with the theme of the night. And also, it's really good if you've been around Riverside football to see Moreno Valley back on track after Coach Watkins is gone. It's always tough to take over for a legend, which Coach Benitez has done. And then also the Canyon Springs program. They have worked very hard the last 5 or 6 years to build culture, and it's great to see them succeeding and be ready for a league championship. Just fantastic for Inland Empire football.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, let's go back to the scoreboard. We're going to run through a bunch of scores, and we'll kind of get your thoughts on some of these more intriguing games that we had. The game you saw, Moval wins by 1 against Paris, 22-21. But don't sleep on the Panthers. They're having a good season as well. Patriot, that big win against La Sierra, 48-8. Norte Vista and Rubidoux, the Braves figure it out in the second half. Ramona and Supa Dupa Jurupa Valley, 35-zip at the half, 35-zip your final score. Temescal Canyon and Tahquitz. Nice win for Temescal Canyon on the road at Tahquitz. 35-26 out of the Mountain Pass League. We'll keep it in the Mountain Pass. West Valley over Elsinore, 21-3. West Valley's going to get San Jacinto next week. I don't know. I'm just saying. West Valley 6-1. They're 3-0.
The Jack.
The Jack.
I'm sorry, the Jack is just playing at another level.
The
They
Jack
always
is
have.
tough.
They're tough, but West Valley, again, look at their record.
Yeah.
They're playing well.
They look like a playoff team at the very least,
Playoff
right?
team, so anytime you're going to play against a team that's better, it's going to make you better if you take some lessons away and get strengthened for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Big win for the Mustangs, 21-3. And let's go to the Ironwood League. Aquinas blanking Heritage Christian, 35-zip. Another win for the Falcons. To the Mesquite, my mighty Eags. Arrowhead Christian winning on homecoming, 34-21 against Maranatha. All right, so now let's go to the Arrowhead Athletic Conference and some Mountain Valley action as well. Summit 44, Kaiser 0. The Fighting Matheny's. I was texting with Coach Matheny a little bit earlier as well. Congrats to Summit. They are 7-1. And Eisenhower beating Jurupa Hills 41-18. Has not been a great year for Eisenhower, but that's a pretty impressive win, especially when Jurupa Hills was able to hold off San Gorgonio in the previous week.
And Jurupa Hills, didn't they get, Coach Leach got some players, and so
Yeah.
I'm sure they're working into the culture. That is an impressive win. Eisenhower had a pretty great fall, a big difference in seasons the last 2 years. So yes, I'd say that's a big win. I don't know if either one of those teams is going to have a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, Coach Leach is such a great sport. I was texting with him earlier. He said, yeah, he's like, we had 7 turnovers. It was a bad scene. But he's such a good dude.
He is. He's
41-18,
awesome.
Eisenhower the win there. Let's see, next up, Rim of the World in San Gorgonio, 28-6. I mean, as much as that could be a league championship game, it basically was the league championship game in the San Andreas as San G picks up the big win at home. Grand Terrace and Rialto also in the San Andreas, and the Titans big win against the Knights, 41-16 there. Now down to the Skyline League. Fontana and Carter, the Lions, holding off the Steelers 34-27. So that keeps Carter in the hunt for that league championship. Notre Dame and Arroyo Valley. We just saw Arroyo Valley with a big second quarter and second half to beat Notre Dame 44-20, the final there. And Colton and Bloomington. Colton wins 48-28. So now Colton versus Carter next week will be for first place and maybe the outright league championship.
And
Coach.
both undefeated. Both of them are undefeated at 3-0.
That's true, yeah. So that's going to be a big-time game. Yellow Jackets and Lions next week. To the Mountain Valley League, A.B. Miller, big shutout win against Cardinal City, 32-zip. So A.B. Miller now wins at least an outright, or at least a share of the league championship. They'll probably win the outright league title with wins already. A couple of wins against San Bernardino. They've already beaten Indian Springs there. And speaking of Indian Springs, non-league action in week number 8.
Wow.
Hey, nice win for the Coyotes, taking on Cabrillo. I believe that's Cabrillo from Long Beach.
That's a long road for either one of them. That's a big travel day.
Big travel day, especially after a loss late at night, right?
I'm coming back. That's no fun.
28-20 the final there. All right, Coach, we're going to take one quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a very quick look at week number 9. We'll be right back out here on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department provides high-quality trash and recycling services for our customers. Convenient curbside trash collection services promote a clean and healthy Riverside. To help us provide you with top-quality service, we ask you to follow a few key rules. When placing your trash containers for pickup, please observe the following. Place each container with at least 3 feet separation from each other and at least 6 feet from obstructions such as parked cars, fire hydrants, mailboxes, and trees. Your bin should be placed at the curb no later than 5:30 a.m. on your collection day with the arrow on the lid pointed toward the street to ensure your bins get emptied. If you are experiencing issues with your trash collection, or perhaps need a replacement for a damaged trash bin, please contact our customer service call center by using the 311 app or website, or by dialing 951-826-5311 to reach one of our customer service representatives. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
All right, Coach, it's 11:59. We're going to hold people over just a little bit here as we look at week number 9, and we'll make this quick because, again, it was HPI? Heavy playoff implications coming up. We've had it the last couple of weeks, and week number 9, week number 10 just magnified there. All right, Coach, let's start in the Ivy League Thursday night special. JW North taking on Orange Vista, and again, it's hard not to look ahead to week 10 with Orange Vista and Rancho Verde, but the Coyotes will get past JW North to set up what could be the outright league championship. Agreed?
Yeah, agreed, but got to shout out, JW North is a prideful program, a lot of pride there, a lot of history. Coach Opalani and his staff and AD Dennis Brown.
Well, they came out swinging against Liberty tonight.
I'll tell you, that is a group of men who lead that program, and Jody Gonzalez, the principal, and so they are going to be back, and they don't count them down.
All right, Fun Belt League. It's just going to get a lot more fun the next couple of weeks. Hillcrest versus Rancho Christian. If Hillcrest can pull off the win, here we go. Big wrench into the league standings, unless you're Hemet.
Which team are we going to see? Are we going to see the Hillcrest who scored 27 on Hemet? Or are we going to see the Hillcrest that played against Pauley? And I think
guess
if you ask
if they have
Travis,
all their players, right?
but they still scored 27 points versus Hemet. So I do think Travis and his staff will get them ready to play, and that's going to be, I believe, a high-scoring affair. Rancho Christian will score some points against anybody.
Speaking of Hemet's going to take on Arlington, which the Lions seem to pose problems for everybody. They play everybody tough, so we'll see what the Bulldogs do against Arlington. And we got Riverside Poly versus Valley View. This sure feels like a playoff game.
Again, if Riverside Poly wins their next 2 games, they'll go 3-2, and they'll be one of the playoff teams. They may finish third or as high as second, depending on what happens with Rancho Christian and Hemet.
All right, let's pivot from the Fun Belt over to the River Valley League. Ramona, they've got Rubidoux this week. Rubidoux gave Norte Vista a fight this week. Now they're going to try their luck with the Ramona Rams, who are 8-0 and in the driver's seat for that River Valley League championship. We also have Norte Vista versus La Sierra. This is a rivalry game. This is a Riverside TV game, also on Riverside TV. Coach, to the Big West. King and Murrieta Mesa.
Huge.
This is a huge game, right?
Huge game. And I think King will be raring to go and improved on special teams, and that's going to be a heck of a ball game. Very physical game.
Yeah, it's going to be physical. It's going to be fun. And there, again, heavy playoff implications. To the Skyline League, Notre Dame trying to build off what they were able to do at Arroyo Valley tonight and find some success on offense. They will take on Bloomington, try to get their first win of the season. And finally, in 8-man football, California School for the Deaf Riverside will take on United Christian Academy from, I think they're in Upland, I want to say. That's Friday, 6 o'clock, as the Cubs look to keep that perfect season intact.
Great football. Go see them play if you haven't done so. Great environment. Great football.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, so that was it. That was week number 8, man, and it really lived up to its billing because we knew the next couple of weeks, including this week, were going to be very important with some exciting games. And we had games that went down to the wire and some games that, maybe the scores were a little closer than what we thought they were going to be.
And that's why you go out and you prepare every week, and you got to play every single week, especially in the Fun Belt League, Gazal, especially in the Fun Belt League. And we get to see the last 2 weeks of the season, and when there's a lot to play for, everybody's involved in determining their own course. So it's going to be great to watch the last 2 weeks in the Fun Belt League.
Man, it's going to be a lot of fun. You can get all your highlights, your coverage right here on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. For Coach Rice, Ghazal Hassan, Scott Brocious, and his entire team here at Riverside TV, we say thank you. We also say good night. It's 12:03. It's past midnight, but we appreciate you staying up. We'll see you next Friday night on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. Good night, everybody.